Oh, yeah. Everyone's real happy then.
Do I detect a note of sarcasm?
Are you kidding me? This baby is off the charts. Why?
Oh, a sarcasm detector. Oh, that's a really useful invention.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. And this weekend, or I guess over the past week, Hollywood got dealt a heavy dose of reality that if you do not create entertainment geared towards the fans of certain franchises, they will absolutely turn on you a little bit. Not only will they negatively review your show, they will call you out on your BS, but in the case of Snake Eyes, they're not going to go spend money in the movie theaters if you can't honor the original incarnations, or at least attempt to give fans the actual characters that they're interested in. Certainly the biggest news was Masters of the Universe Revelation. We had heard rumors that it wasn't going to really be a He-Man show. I believe it was Clownfish TV that kind of broke that stuff. Kevin Smith came out and, how dare you? That's lies. He tried to disparage the name of Clownfish TV, who, full disclosure, have Neon and Geeky Sparkles have been on the channel. Not close friends of mine, but I do consider them on friendly terms. Very nice people. But they got it right. And Kevin Smith went out there and lied and lied and lied and kept lying some more. And we're finding out that Kevin Smith and Netflix really don't give a shit whether He-Man fans like the show or not. It wasn't made for you. Same thing with Snake Eyes. There have been 2 G.I. Joe live action movies. The first one was pretty much unwatchable. But based on the brand name alone, even though it looked like crap in the trailers, it still turned a profit. They tried to do a sequel, get rid of Channing Tatum, who by that time was actually kind of a big star, got rid of Marlon Wayans, brought in The Rock and some other high-profile actors, Bruce Willis. It just wasn't very good still. And that was the problem with those original G.I. Joe movies. They decided they're going to reboot it. They're going to use Snake Eyes as the vessel to reintroduce G.I. Joe to the big screen. But they forgot to give people Snake Eyes. Shockingly, people did not go to see the movie. They could see that wasn't actually Snake Eyes. And there are all kinds of excuses going out there, basically excusing, it's not really the studio's fault that Snake Eyes bombed. It's all this other stuff, and we'll get into that. We'll start with Master of the Universe Revelation. This one's the one that's chapped a lot of people's asses, and I do not blame them, because Kevin Smith himself went out there and trolled people. He was calling people liars, and it has been proven that they were 100% correct. The information that they were being fed was correct. This is not a He-Man show. It's a Tila show. I think if Kevin Smith had come out and said, you know what? Everything you can do with Masters of the Universe has already been done. We're trying to take the show in a different direction. You're going to see less He-Man. You're going to see more Tila, but we think fans of the original will be happy with it. And some of them would still be mad, but at least you would have been honest. But I don't know. Kevin Smith has gotten quite high and mighty on the fans all of a sudden. And you should see some of the headlines. I'll read. We're just going to go off variety, but everybody's got a headline on this one, and everybody's making excuses. And guess who's at fault here? Guess who's at fault for all these issues? For people not liking Masters of the Universe Revelation, for people not buying Snake Eyes. It's the fans' fault. Of course it's the fans' fault. You didn't realize you were supposed to enjoy entertainment and go find more entertainment. You weren't supposed to be discerning. You weren't supposed to think about whether or not this was honoring the original Masters of the Universe or the He-Man characters and all that stuff that you enjoyed when you were a kid, that maybe you want to go enjoy with your kids as well. And it's kind of surprising, because if you go watch the Netflix War for Cybertron trilogy, it's a pretty damn good Transformers show. Don't know that it's completely made for my 6-year-old. It's a bit much. It's pretty violent, but that thing is absolutely made for Transformers fans. Unfortunately, Masters of the Universe Revelation is. But this is the headline from Variety. Kevin Smith made Netflix's Masters of the Universe Revelation specifically to please He-Man fans. Some got mad anyway. It's fans' fault. Kevin Smith did everything he could, How could anyone that was actually a fan of He-Man not like Masters of the Universe Revelation? Kevin Smith made it for you guys. Or so he told you. The fans had already told him that that's not what they wanted. And that they decided to jam it down your throats anyway. And you're at fault. And this is what the article has to say. And yet, a little more than 24 hours after the debut of Masters of the Universe Revelation on Netflix, and despite near universally glowing notices from critics, shocking, the critics loved Kevin Smith deconstructing He-Man and putting a female character as the main protagonist of the show, as has been done numerous times in the past, 5, 6, 7 years, almost always failing. It got glowing reviews, but if it got glowing reviews, it must have been good. There couldn't be a disconnect between critics and fans, could there? There couldn't be an agenda of the critics, to support Hollywood and what they're doing with these characters and the message and the agenda that they're using these characters for that is in direct opposition of the fans who just want to be entertained and to want to have the characters and stories that they grew up loving be honored a little bit. It's your fault. The show has been review bombed by users posting to Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. The general consensus among those upset, Smith has indeed not given fans the thing they grew up watching, namely, he has not given them He-Man. At least they identify, for the most part, the complaint and the gripes of the fans here. They're wrong, because it was, universally praised by critics. At least they say, well, the fans say that there should have been more He-Man. They're at least acknowledging in this article, because they normally won't even go that far, what the actual, what the pushback was over. And of course it was review bombed. People can't just be earnestly going out there and posting their reviews on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb, which are, that's what their metrics are for. You go in there and everybody puts their opinion in there and it comes up with the score. Are there He-Man fans that like He-Man, that like Masters of the Universe Revelation? Absolutely. Unfortunately, a majority of He-Man fans, Masters of the Universe fans, that this show was targeting have summarily rejected it. And rejected Smith himself, who has made himself look like a complete moron. This is what he said before the show came out. I know there's some people out there that are like, hey, man, this show's woke. I'm like, all right, great. Then so watch the original cartoon. We're fucking sequelizing. Go watch it again. There are girls in every episode. Deal with it. Having female characters in your cartoon doesn't make it woke, moron. That is not what people are saying. This is an ad hominem. He doesn't want you to say, listen, this is Master of the Universe, traditionally starring He-Man opposing Skeletor. He can't debate that because that's not what he gave you. You just don't like it because there's girls. There's always been girls in He-Man. There's always been female characters in He-Man, and boys still watched it. That's not the point, and that's not the criticism, dickhead. But you got to gaslight people. You can't actually acknowledge Kevin Smith won't acknowledge what people are saying, even though Variety themselves have already acknowledged what the issue was. And yes, going out there and gender swapping major characters in action franchises is considered synonymous with woke entertainment nowadays. Deal with it, Smith. God, it's not like this hasn't been going on for years now. He also had to say, I see people going online. Hey, man, they're getting rid of He-Man. Like, you really fucking think Mattel Television, who hired me and paid me money, wants to do a fucking Master of the Universe show without He-Man? Grow the fuck up, man. Like, that blew my mind. Bunch of people being like, oh, I smell it. This is a bait and switch. It was a bait and switch. It's a Masters of the Universe show with He-Man in the background. Just because you included him as a fucking cameo doesn't mean you get to make this argument. Once again, an ad hominem. You're gaslighting here. That's bullshit. That's not what people are saying. And it was a bait and switch because it says Masters of the fucking Universe on the cover, dickhead. And you know that. And of course, he went out there and he did some live streams. That it's shocking when you go look at the viewer numbers of Clownfish TV, who broke the news of this stuff months ago, who he trashed. Go look at their views and look at the views of Kevin Smith got. what he was talking about the show. It's quite embarrassing. It seems like most of the people, the fans of this franchise, are on the Clownfish TV side. And of course, in there he's like, Netflix doesn't care. We don't care what the fans think. Of course they don't. That's not the point of entertainment anymore. You and I are no longer part of the equation. The entertainment is there to get the agenda across. The characters are there to spew whatever message it is that you're supposed to be getting across. It used to be knowing is half the battle. Now it's, He-Man is for girls too, and it always was. But it was a male-led action series. But it can't be that anymore. The same thing that we've seen happen with fucking Star Trek, Star Wars. What else we had? Even fucking Terminator, which was always led by a female hero. They somehow made that fucking woke. It was already the lead was already always a strong female character, and they somehow ruined Terminator. Like, it's shocking that they continuously do this. Fucking Ghostbusters, over and over and over, and it's always our fault. It's never their fault, even though we constantly give them feedback saying we don't want this shit. But Wes, I wanted it. Yes, you're one out of like 50 people that wanted this. You need more people than that when you're putting this much money into making this stuff. This isn't fan-created bullshit that you're putting on YouTube. Look at the animation. They put a lot of fucking money into this show. If you go look at the economics for Netflix, you're like, Netflix got 230 million subscribers. Yeah, they're also up to their neck in debt. If they don't continue growing in subscribers, they're going to fall under. And shit like this is going to drive people away. We'll see what happens. We'll see in the next quarterly report as far as their subscriber base goes. But this is not good. And Kevin Smith, who already was tiresome in the geek community, he has no credit anymore. What little credit he had left is out the fucking window. No one's ever going to trust him with anything ever again. He's not the Pied Piper of the geek community anymore. He hasn't been for some time. He hasn't made anything entertaining in like 20 fucking years. He's spent. Go watch Tusk. Go. Now let's get to Snake Eyes. Now, Snake Eyes is personally a character I have a bigger connection to than He-Man or Masters in the Universe. Snake Eyes is one of my 5 favorite characters of all time. I love Snake Eyes. One of the greatest, he's the greatest G.I. Joe, one of the greatest action stars ever. He's a great, comic book hero. And he's so cool because he's silent. You never see his face. When he got his backstory, he's a man out of place, visiting Japan, being trained up as a ninja, as a white man, out of place, had to be accepted in, had to work harder than everybody else to kind of make it. And it becomes the ultimate like ninja fighting master. But along the way he gets hurt. He can't speak. His face is always covered. Such a cool character. Got a great character design. What do? We need to take the mask off. No, you don't take the mask off of Snake Eyes, and you surely don't have him speak. What are you doing? And then you take the character, the face off, the mask of Snake Eyes off. It's the guy from Young Rich Asians, Crazy Rich Asians, whatever it is. Like, sure, he's Asian, and I guess it's culture appropriation nowadays for white people to learn martial arts, even though the martial arts is literally a worldwide phenomenon. Yes, ninjutsu comes from Japan, but every country has their own martial art. And I hate to break it to you, but a lot of white people study martial arts. So he had to become an Asian character, which never made any sense. But they should have just cast the dude from Crazy Rich Asians. Nobody would have known because he's fucking Snake Eyes. He doesn't take the mask off. He doesn't speak. It doesn't matter who the fuck is under. As if having that Park guy as Snake Eyes in the original was some kind of value add. Yeah, he was Darth Maul, I guess, but who gives a shit who Ray Park is? You're never going to see his face anyway. He's never going to speak. He's just there to do ninja stuff. That's what made Snake Eyes cool. He was a man of action, of sheer will, of fortitude, completely able to overcome any situation without saying a fucking word. And he was a great leader. It's shocking, like the complexity of that character without speaking. That's what made him so awesome. And of course they ripped that apart. And this is what Variety has to say about Snake Eyes bringing in $13.5 million in domestic on opening weekend. You're like, but Wes, what about the worldwide box office? It brought in $4 million, in 29% of the entire world's, outside the U.S., out of the world box office, brought in $4 million out of, essentially a third of the box offices. It bombed big. It's not going to make its money back. The original G.I. Joe movie, which blew like really bad, turned a profit. God, it's so stupid. And guess what? Once they announced their casting choice for Snake Eyes, and they said he's not going to wear his mask the whole time and he's going to speak, everyone said, no, you forgot this is a Snake Eyes movie. That's not Snake Eyes. That's another character. And perhaps Henry Golding would be great at that character, but that's not Snake Eyes. If you want a G.I. Joe Snake Eyes movie, you have to make G.I. Joe Snake Eyes and put him on the screen. Or else I don't want to go pay my money. Turns out that they weren't lying. They weren't bluffing. And this is what Variety had to say. Unfavorable reviews did not help elevate the profile of a reboot to a Long in the Tooth series that already wasn't particularly beloved by audiences. G.I. Joe's been around just as long as Transformers. It certainly is still turning a tidy profit. It's certainly just as beloved by audiences as Transformers. We're just waiting for a good G.I. Joe movie, so it's our fault. We just didn't love the franchise enough to support it, even though the first movie, which was terrible, made money. And when they announced this stuff, we said, I am a Snake Eyes fan. I like G.I. Joe. These are the words coming out of my mouth. No, that's not the character. That's not what it was. It wasn't that they didn't get the character right. It wasn't beloved by the audience. I love this one. This is their next excuse. Though several toy brands have made the leap to theaters with success, such as Transformers and Lego, others like Battleship have fallen flat. G.I. Joe's Battleship? No one ever wanted to see a live adaptation of fucking Battleship. It's a board game. Everybody wanted to see live action G.I. Joe. Everybody wanted to see Snake Eyes on the big screen. And if you go watch that original movie, which is dog shit, the Snake Eyes Storm Shadow stuff was the only stuff worth watching. Guess why? Snake Eyes never took his mask off. He never spoke. They just fought. That's all anybody wanted. But now, no, G.I. Joe's Battleship. It was never going to succeed. It's like Battleship. Get the fuck out of here. Also of interest, they decided they needed to give Henry Golding like some top cover, as if anybody is actually blaming this Snake Eyes debauchery bomb on Henry Golding himself. But they had to lay it on thick for Henry Golding. Golding has been praised for his turn as the mysterious lone fighter who eventually became the famous action hero. Variety chief film critic Owen Gleiberman even asserted the movie could double as Golding's audition tape to play James Bond. I guess falling on, you can't make this shit up, people. You can't make this stuff up. And it's interesting. This is what, so somebody somewhat acknowledges what happened, but they never get to the heart of it. Sean Robbins, the chief analyst at Box Office Pro, they have this to say. Movie-going and general household economics are both still in recovery mode. Potential audiences are being selective with what they have to spend their money on. But why didn't they spend their money on this one? They spent their money on, Cruella. They spent their money on the Quiet Place 2. They spent their money on Fast and Furious. They spent their money on Black Widow. Snake Eyes is part of a big franchise. Why didn't they spend their money on this one? Because they didn't deliver a Snake Eyes movie. That's the problem. This isn't difficult. And they couldn't even blame it on COVID. That's my favorite part. Because the hardest hit place in America that's having new mask mandates, LA, had the biggest audience for this movie. It's because fans of G.I. Joe tuned out once they realized they weren't making a Snake Eyes movie. $13.5 million. That shitty ass G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra movie in 2009. 12 years ago. Made $54 million domestic and $40 million globally on opening weekend. This one made 13.5 and 4. That's all you need to know. What a bomb. Will they hear the audience? Will our voices be heard? That stop screwing with the stuff that we like. If you want to feed us nostalgia, we'll eat it up. but you got to at least try and give us the characters and things that we like. We don't want any more Star Wars sequel trilogy. We don't want any more of what is that? Whatever, the CBS Online Discovery and Picard shit that I think it's on CBS itself now. I guess there weren't enough subscribers to justify the budgets on that one. Nobody wants that crap. Nobody wants the Ghostbusters reboot. We'll see what happens with the next one. I imagine they're going to mess that one up. They'll probably be ruining Back to the Future soon as well. Everything, almost everything, for the most part, Hollywood touches anymore turns to shit because they hate the audience. It's not about you. It's about them. Kevin Smith will consider his Masters of the Universe Revelation show a success, even though everybody that it was designed for hated it because the critics liked it. It's a self-licking ice cream cone. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's just because there's an article in Variety that said it was good and it promoted something that was progressive. That's all it's there for. It's not there to entertain. Snake Eyes. It's going to be hard to spin that one. They're going to lose a shitload of money on that one, and they basically ruined the relaunch of the G.I. Joe franchise again because they got Snake Eyes wrong. But, Henry Golding, he should really be James Bond. That's the problem. This is the wrong character for it. Like, get out of here. We've spoken loud and clear. They'll never hear us because it's not about us. It's about them. And it's not changing anytime soon.